Hi guys. My brother is finally back home. Sad face. Don't want him to be. Kind of want to be an only child for a little bit longer, but you know, has to come home at some point. So he's back, and Michigan's going through a drought right now, and what was it, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, we had our first rain in about a month and a half, and me and my friend went out and played in the rain, and she looked at me, because I'm a writer, I love to write, she looked at me and said, "I want you to write a story about rain." I was like, "What do you mean by that?" I was like, "You mean like the metaphorical implications behind rain?" She's like, "Sure." So that's what I've started to do in this lovely journal. It's very thick. And I decided that I'm going to get my idea out there and read a little bit. First I'm going to read you like the plot idea, and then I'll read you like maybe the first chapter. It's not that long, so got like about 2.5 chapters done now. So the plot is, her parents ignore her, she has no friends, she's alone. She's the girl people never see, she's invisible to the world. But if she finds her hope in the rain is her only friend, it speaks to her, until Maxwell comes. The girl's name is Ivana, and the boy's name is Maxwell. So I'm just going to read you the first chapter. Don't want to, but I will. Maybe. Yeah, why not? Shut up, Eric. I woke up to gloomy skies this morning. I can only hope the rain holds out until I get out of this horrid building. Some like to call it school. I think of it more as an imprisonment. As I stared out the classroom window, I caught a boy named Maxwell staring at me. Maxwell is a popular pretty boy of the school. He has no business concerning himself with girls like me. I was surprised he noticed me at all. Nobody ever does. People don't even bother to bully me because in their eyes, it's not worth it. My own parents don't even notice me. I'm dead to them. The teachers don't call on me in class because they know I'll sit there silently until they move on. I seclude myself from the world. The only place I no longer feel alone is in the rain. The rain seems to just wash everything away. "Maxwell, would you like to come up and show the class how to do this?" Mrs. Brown asked, ruining mine and Max's and I's zonage. "I don't know how," Maxwell said quietly, looking down at his hands. "Well, maybe if you paid attention you would know," Mrs. Brown said, turning back to the math problem on the board. Maxwell took one last minuscule look at me from the corner of his eye, and that was it. A split second was all, and he returned to his work. The rest of the school day went on without me thinking about first hour again. I had forgotten all about the incident with Maxwell by the time the final bell had rung. Gathered my papers and put them in my backpack. I walked through the hallways and out the closest set of doors. I breathed in the moist Seattle air and headed to the longest way home I could manage without it being too long. I always took this way home through back alleys and abandoned streets for a few reasons. For one, the main sidewalks were always packed of kids from Seattle High and Central High. For two, I always hoped that if I stalled long enough getting home, maybe my father would be sober and my mother would be awake. This is never the case, but I always hope that when I get home, I'm greeted with love, like normal kids. As I turned off the back alley and into a side one where my apartment is, I heard a noise behind me. I wasn't entirely sure what it was or who made it, but I pushed it out of my mind quickly. By this time I was standing in front of the rotting, wet wooden door with the rusted metals 213 barely hanging onto it. This door belonged to the 3-apartment complex where I lived. I put my hand on the rusted handle, took a deep breath, and pushed the door open with my shoulder. That's chapter 1! Chapter 2 is really short, and then chapter 3 is getting kind of long. I think I'm going to cut it off here, because what I've decided to do is chapter 1 is Ava's point of view, chapter 2 is Maxwell's, chapter 3 is Ava's, chapter 4 is Maxwell's, so on and so forth. So that's my idea for the story. I think I might enter it on Figment. Maybe. If you don't know what Figment is, I'll put a link below. It's really cool. It's a really good way for writers like me to get our ideas out there. And from my understanding, some stories that have been on Figment have been noticed by publishers, and people have been able to get them published, and so on and so forth. It's really, really cool. So if you like my story, please leave a comment below. And if you want me to read chapter 2, I will do that. I will see you guys later.